Madison, thank you so much for joining us and really excited for this conversation and excited to have you on the advisory board. Could you kick off by just introducing yourself quickly?
Sure. I'm Madison Mikhail Bush. I'm the CEO at Point, and I'm so excited to be an advisor at Pond.
Amazing. Well, I know you introduced your job title, but I know there's a lot more to you than just that. I'd love for you to share just a few layers of your identity that are most important to you.
Um, my new job, new identity, is that I'm a mom, and it's my favorite job yet. I'm Egyptian American. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, proudly from Ohio. I'm currently living in Brooklyn, New York, um, not too far from Mitch. And I am really excited about just everything that's happening post COVID. I'm excited to not be a hermit.
I love that. And where did your love story with having an impact start? I mean, obviously, you run a impact technology business, but I'm sure it begins even further back than that. So I'd love to just hear a bit more about your backstory.
I think my love story of impact started when I really realized who was doing the impact. And when you look at the nonprofit space, especially at the local level, you see women of all shapes and sizes, colors and backgrounds creating impact in our cities. It's not anybody else. Women, their moms, either grandmas. These are the people that are creating impact in our cities. And that's why I get up and I do my job every single day, is because I believe that women are changing our communities and I want to provide them with the tools to do that.
It's amazing. And I've learned so much from you already just about what I think, some misconceptions about nonprofit work. I mean, I didn't realize how dominant women were in the workforce in the nonprofit space and how
75%.
What was the number?
75%.
Wow. So I don't know if that's a misconception or just something people aren't familiar with, but as you've gotten to dig in more into the sector, like what are some of the biggest misconceptions you've found about nonprofit work?
I think that, again, people just don't realize how female dominated it is. It's the third largest, really, like employer space, employee sector in the nation. It's made up 75% of women. And I think that we overlook women's contribution in nonprofits. And I think that it's wrong. I think that we should start really hitting the nail on the head and giving women what they need, and addressing them as women. Instead of just overarching saying nonprofits, I think it's really important to call out who the change-making demographic is. So I think that's one thing that's so commonly overlooked. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that nonprofits don't need tech. I think that so many people think that nonprofits need, in-kind donations. Yes, they do, absolutely, but they also need tools to function. And they need really great tools to function. And so often, we'll see companies saying, well, I just don't understand why this nonprofit isn't doing X, Y, and Z. Well, if you're using Salesforce or Oracle or, all these tools at your companies, nonprofits also need that infrastructure to be able to really meet the need of their community.
Yeah, and it's like what got me started in all this was just this concept of like the leftovers or the hand-me-downs go to nonprofit work. It's a giveaway program as opposed to like custom building the best stuff, because this is they're tackling the most important thing in our community and we got to support them. So I'm with you on that. I think that's so overlooked and underestimated.
The best work needs the best tools.
100%. And I guess kind of in the reverse direction, I would say a misconception is that people don't appreciate all of the kind of business and leadership value that nonprofits demonstrate, and that there are actually a lot of lessons that business, I'm putting business in heavy air quotes, for-profit leaders should be learning and following from successful nonprofits. What are some of those that stick out to you that you wish more businesses would understand?
what I like in the nonprofit space, and it's a maybe you want to say like a recent developing trend, is that some nonprofits are pulling their clients and the people that they serve onto their boards so that they can have a say, that they can be represented. I think that that level of insight to the population you're working with, or in business terms, like your target market, I think that's very critical. And I think that if we see, other people following suit in that way, I think we're going to see a lot more intentional businesses. I think we're going to see products that really drive at the core need of our population. And I think it's a really, really great trend, and I hope it continues.
I love that. Yeah, it's like the community level of engagement is just so much higher. And I think it's something that a lot of companies would say they strive for, but don't really know exactly how to go about it. And there's such a great playbook and framework in the nonprofit space. So lastly, I know you and I had the chance to meet this fall and have gotten to know each other pretty well, but I would love to just hear for you what drew you to be interested in Pond and want to get more involved and now be more formally joining the advisory board.
Simply, I believe in nonprofit tech. And I believe that nonprofits need the best tools, but I also believe that they need help finding the best tools. I think it's really a big ask to think that every nonprofit can go and do their own research on the best donor management software, the best volunteer management software, or anything in between. I think it's a very hard lift. So if we can make that easier for them, if we can say, here are some really great tools that you can find your best fit in this big pond of of options, I think that's really important. I think it's empowering. And because I believe that these women, again, need the best tools, I want them to be able to find them easier.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was a big part of even the brand of Pond, is we talked a lot about shrinking the ocean and how often when people are overwhelmed, they use water metaphor. So they'll say like, I'm drowning, or I feel like I'm just treading water, or like just trying to keep my head above water. We use that instinctively all the time.
Right.
And we thought like, can we take that and actually turn it into more of like a comfort, secure, in your backyard, kind of like less intimidating sentiment. So right there with you.
I'm excited
Awesome.
for it.
Awesome. Well, Madison, we are so lucky to have you on board, and I'm really excited there's a lot of work yet to come. So we're excited to get to work and have you there by our side.